Hi class, Professor Brennan here. We are back. We had talked about fallacies in inductive reasoning, fallacies in deductive reasoning, and now we're talking about fallacies in causal reasoning. So let's take a look at this. Here we are, post ergo propter hoc. What it means is one falsely assumes if B follows A, then B was caused by A. So example of this, Jenny ate the chocolate yesterday. Today she has a pimple in her face. So the pimple was caused by eating chocolate. People do this all the time, right? If B follows A. Let's see. I always love to use lung cancer as an example because there are people that smoke and they don't get lung cancer. They will get emphysema if they continue to smoke, but they're not necessarily, you can get lung cancer without having ever smoked. But that is one of the things, is that if B follows A, if you have lung cancer, we always assume that person smoked. We ask the question, that person smoked. So the biggest thing about this and looking at causal reasoning is to ask yourself, is there a direct link? Did A, because one follows the other, did A really cause B? Right? Is there a causal link there? That's the important thing for you to ask as you're looking at arguments and looking at the arguments that are made by your sources in your research that you're doing. Okay, let's move on. Fallacy involving burden of proof. Now, this is going to be important for you in debate. Okay? The affirmative, and the affirmative is arguing against the status quo. The positions in debate are affirmative and negative. So the affirmative has the burden of proof. Those of you that watch Law and Order or shows that have trials and lawyers involved. I love shows like that myself. The prosecutor always has the burden of proof. Why? Because the person who is being charged with the crime or whatever it is, civil suit, they're innocent until proven guilty. The same idea in debate is the affirmative has the burden of proof. Okay? So when we're looking at fallacies, what do we mean by that? So, argumentum ad ignorantium actually. Assuming something is true because it has not been proven wrong. How many times have you heard that before? Or assuming something is wrong because it has not been proven right. You can't prove there is a God, so there must not be one. Right? Assuming something is true because it has not been proven wrong. Or assuming something is wrong because it has not been proven right. Think about that. That's a good one. Begging the question. The question itself is understood to prove the assertion by repeating or rephrasing it. The question itself is understood to prove the assertion by repeating or rephrasing it. So I love this example. Professor Brennan is right because she is never wrong. I just said the same thing. I just put it a different way. That's begging the question. And so you make a statement and then you restate it in a different way using what you said in the beginning, and you didn't give any proof, but it made it sound like you gave proof, but you're basically just restating what you said in the first place. Okay, that's begging the question fallacy. All right, moving on. More fallacies. Some that are more familiar to you. I think we're going to get this done in two videos. Isn't that exciting? Okay, what do we got? Non-sequitur. Non-sequitur actually means does not follow. Okay? So it's a way to correlate a relationship. Correlate means to draw a relationship between cause and effect. Okay? Oftentimes it's between two completely different assertions or two completely different statements, right? So an example is the Los Angeles Lakers won the championship. LA will probably name Staples Center after Kobe Bryant. It doesn't follow, right? What does one have to do with the other? Statements like that are made all the time, but that's a non sequitur. Slippery slope. You all know this one. An assumption that one undesirable outcome will eventually lead to an even worse outcome if we continue down a particular path. Okay, people use this for drugs, right? That whole idea of, I'm going to use my example in a minute, but marijuana being the gateway drug, right? You have to find the statistics to see that that is true or not true. But that's a slippery slope argument. But if you find the statistics to back up what you say, then that's different. So I gave money to my daughter and she used it to buy marijuana. If I give her money again, she used it to buy crystal meth. That's a slippery slope argument. One thing is it's like a domino effect. One undesirable outcome is going to lead to another undesirable outcome. AdHominem. AdHominem means person. Hominem means like human, right? Attacking a person's character and bringing a person's characteristics into an argument rather than staying focused on the argument's topic. We see this consistently in politics. Consistently. People will attack the character of a person rather than focusing on whatever their argument, like the policy that they're debating, or the law that they're debating, or their programs that they're debating, whatever it is. And they will attack a person, their character, rather than focusing on the argument itself, what the argument is about. Mary and Jack are arguing about tax reform, and Mary calls Jack a tightwad. Right? They're arguing about tax reform, and then she starts to make it about him. All right, kids, keep going. We're doing good. Fallacies, familiar fallacies, continuing. Straw man. An arguer misrepresents an opponent's position in order to make it easier to attack. People do this all the time too. So anti-abortion activists who accuse pro-choice people of not caring about babies or life. Right? Someone who you can care about life and still be pro-choice. It's possible. Let's look at a pro-choice person accusing pro-life people of being I'm trying to think of like fanatics, or that's really not representing their position. Something else. Maybe they're against immigration or something. Okay, something that's like it misrepresents what their position is in the first place, and sometimes it's never even related, but they'll misrepresent it in order to make again that easier to attack. So politicians do this all the time, right? They'll misrepresent. I see this in CNBC or MSNBC, and how they present information. And they'll present it, they'll focus more on something that it sounds kind of petty rather than the issue itself. And because I watch MSNBC sometimes, that I see that. Okay. Something you want to pay attention to, again. Tu quo qui. Two wrongs make a right. I'm pulled over for a speeding ticket. I say to the officer that I shouldn't get a ticket because everybody drives over the speed limit. That's a perfect example. Two wrongs make a right. Everybody's doing it. What's the big deal? Red herring argument. So a red herring argument is when, or a fallacy, is when and this happens a lot, it happens in like a debate and people, that someone purposely brings up some irrelevancy that has nothing to do with the argument they're having in order to distract you. They might purposely do that, or they might unintentionally do it. That's a red herring fallacy. So two people are debating the rising price of bananas, and one of the arguers says bananas go great with peanut butter. That should say go great. In fact, the cost of peanuts has gone down. Huh? That's the things that make you want to go, huh? Like, what does that mean? What does that have to do with the rising price of bananas? Okay. So that's a red herring, and it should make you do the like, huh? Like make your head turn like, what was that? All right. Last words about fallacies. We're almost there, folks. Fallacies are not neat and tidy. Okay. So your real, the important thing that you want to focus on is find the error in the reasoning and seeing it and understanding what error that person is making, or what error that author is making, or what error that news agency is making. And one or more fallacies might apply to an erroneous argument. I covered this early on. The best to approach the work with I got to rewrite this. Best to approach the work analytically and not focus on categorizing or defining what the fallacy is. Rather, be able to recognize fallacious reasoning when it occurs. So best to approach the work analytically. Don't focus on categorizing or defining what the fallacy is, but understand that there is a fallacy and where is the error in the reasoning. It's there. There's a lot of it. Just spend your weekend watching 3 different types of news networks, and you'll see. You can just read the newspaper, and you will see, even in very well thought of news sources, you will find errors in reasoning. Okay, that's it for me for fallacies in reasoning. And there's a lot more in your textbook, but I think you get the gist. Okay, I will see you when I see you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.